kittens, it's Kitty Powers here with my much anticipated, slightly delayed Kitty Powers drag Q&A that you've all been waiting for and giving me all your questions. So it's finally here, and I'm going to answer all your probing questions because I've not been probed for a while. But anyway, before we start, I just wanted to express my condolences to the Vivian, who I did meet once. In fact, one of my questions relates to Drag Race. In fact, the first question is, when is Kitty going to be on Drag Race UK? From Casper von Berglies, I think is the way you describe it, YouTube and TikTok. Now, I did apply for Drag Race Season 1, but I actually was in the competition, the Drag Race UK Ambassador competition, which came before Drag Race UK Season 1. It was held at the Café de Paris in London, and I applied for that, and that video is actually on my YouTube channel. I will link it here somewhere. And Vivian was there, and Lavoie. They were both in the competition. I got kicked out in the first half. my choice of outfit was really not very good. I thought I'd try and be classy, and ended up just being boring. So there might be some images of it somewhere. I'll try and dig them out. But yeah, the Vivian was there. She was lovely. Everyone was very supportive of each other because we were all backstage in a tiny little dressing room. And yeah, so I think it's really sad that we've lost her, because I think she was an amazing talent, much more talented than me. But yes, that's my experience with Drag Race. To be honest with you, I don't think I'd make a good Drag Race queen because I'm not a full-time drag queen. I do it to promote my video games, and I'm a full-time game developer. Drag is a very, very difficult profession to do, and so is video game development, so to try and do both of them at the same time would be impossible. And I think if I had to choose, I would choose video games. Anyway, next question. What made you want to combine your love of drag and video games, and what came first, the idea for the game or the character of Kitty? And those questions came from Ditsy Possum and on Instagram, and Ness on TikTok. Now, I hadn't seen, this was back in 2013 that I had the idea and started the project, and it's because I hadn't seen drag and video games really combine yet. So like RuPaul didn't have a game yet, and even in that case, no drag queen actually made a game and been in the game. So I thought it just sounded crazy enough that it might get some attention, and it did, so that worked. Kitty Powers did exist before the game, but Kitty was kind of a hobby that I did sometimes at the weekend at my local gay club, gay bar, and for a bit of fun, really, more than anything else. I didn't really get paid for it. Maybe got a few free drinks. And I don't feel like it was really at the level where it was ready for public consumption. And even when we started the project, we did a test photo shoot in my brother's garage on a green screen, and even looking at those shots, I was like, this isn't good enough. I'm not prepared to put this out in public. But anyway, the game itself was what inspired me, because I was really pushed then to bring my game development production head into gear and say, what is the quality bar we need to hit? And that's how Kitty Powers was born. So anyway, next question. how old was I when I realised that I was interested in drag? Well, I was always fascinated with drag queens or cross-dressing. You know, even back in the 70s and 80s when I was a kid, there was a few comedians that did drag performance. Some of them were gay comedians like Danny LaRue or Lily Savage. And some of them were like Benny Hill and Les Dawson, who you probably could Google. I love Dame Edna as well. I love powerful female characters, and I felt like that's what these were, and that's what drew me to them. And then seeing RuPaul in the 90s with Supermodel, watching that video blew my mind. I was like, I want to be that 7 foot tall glamazon who can strut down the street and everyone just looks at them and says, wow. And actually, eventually I did become that glamazon. So, do you like my wig, by the way? I just forgot I was wearing it. I've got myself a little pussycat wig. Just for you. Just for these little videos. So yes, for a long time, I didn't start doing it till the year before Drag Race Season 1, which was 18 years ago. So that would have been 2006 or something like that. Anyway, any advice for upcoming performers? Well, I don't think I'm really qualified to give advice because I'm not a performing queen, really. I do a little bit occasionally. I have learned a lot about getting on the stage in front of people, and I suppose I could tell you what I've learned about that. And really the way that because I used to have terrible stage fright, what I've learned is that what you need to remind yourself before you go on a stage is that the people in the audience are there to have a good time. You know, they want to see you living your best life because that's what they came for. You know, they don't want to see you nervous. They want to see you having fun. And so to really just that kind of helps me to focus and just enjoy being on stage, because there was a time where I would never be able to do it. I couldn't even read through a piece of paper to a group of 3 people. But years of practice enabled me to overcome my fears. My amygdala was tamed. So anyway, next question. How was it travelling to California to meet Cupquake, and are you two still in touch? It was from I Preach Godney on TikTok. It was super fun to meet Cupquake, but I actually went to LA to go to DragCon to promote the games, and while I was there I arranged to meet Cupquake and we did our collab, and it was super fun. And then I came and did it to DragCon again, and we did it again, as you know. And then we did stay in touch, but then over the pandemic a lot of people lost touch with each other, and obviously Tiffany had a baby, which is obviously all consuming of her time, as you know. And so we haven't really spoken for a while, but she's still got a wonderful place in my heart forever and ever. Now, next question is from, I don't know, there's no name here, but it's from TikTok. Have you ever met RuPaul or any other important drag queens? Well, yes, I did meet a lot of drag queens, including RuPaul, at the first DragCon. And I did brush past RuPaul at the Drag Race UK Ambassador competition. And a few queens I have had a chance to get to know a bit that you might have heard of. I've met many Drag Race queens, but obviously I don't think bumping into them and asking them for a selfie really counts. But I got to know Bianca Del Rio a bit because of work things. Pandora Box, I was over in LA. Several other queens. Rock'em Sakura I performed with. San Francisco. I would say not all drag queens that are important have been on Drag Race. There was queens like Sister Roma, who's one of the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, who I think is an important queen, but she hasn't been on Drag Race. But she's wonderful and does a lot of work for charity. And I did have some nice chats with Vivacious a couple of times when I was in New York. So those are some notable ones that spring to mind. Next question is from Aris World on Instagram. Who or what inspires your drag fashion? Well, I think my core style is inspired by British sitcom actresses of the 1970s, such as Mrs. Slocum. The character from Are You Being Served is one of my favourites. And I have dabbled in other looks, like video game inspired ones that you might have seen on my channels back a few years ago. You know, I did superhero Kitty and all that kind of thing. But I think my audience mostly vibes with Auntie Kitty, cozy Auntie Kitty, who they know from Matchmaker. So I think as the years have gone by, I've kind of returned and focused more back on that. So kind of staying in that ballpark, if you like. Next question is also about who I got inspired by, but it's more to do with the personality. I think queens who my style is most similar to, I wouldn't say I was inspired by these queens, but I think their style is similar to mine. I think Trixie Mattel is a sort of American version of Kitty Powers, a lot more successful than me, of course. I think Karen from Finance, who's kind of an Australian version of Kitty Powers. I think she's awesome as well. I'm a fan of both of them. I also see some similarities with Ginger Johnson, who won last year's Drag Race UK. She's kind of a northern version of Kitty Powers. I don't think any of us has inspired each other. I think we've just taken a little segment of that and made it more nuanced, if you like. Have you been continuing drag since the game, or did I fall off the face of the earth? From Gravetown Ghoul on TikTok. Well, kitten, I made 3 games actually, and then I fell off the face of the earth during the pandemic, as I needed some me time. And so I focused on my day job for a while, and because I was working on myself, I think is the polite way to put it. Bearing in mind also that I have never been a full-time drag performer. I am a game developer first and foremost. Next question. I love the Office Siren look, but I've always wondered what made you go for the aesthetic you did. Like, is there meaning, or was it just because you absolutely slay? From Faye on TikTok. Kitty's original look was supposed to be inspired by a vintage sort of 60s or 70s style beauty therapist's uniform, because she was meant to be the boss of a matchmaking agency. And I felt like in that kind of fictional world, there would be a sort of uniform, and it would be kind of almost like a therapy sort of treatment, if you like. You'd go to the dating agency, that would be a bit like going to get your nails done or going to get your hair done, you know what I mean? Like, or going for a massage. So that was the idea. And I actually got a lab coat, and I cut it shorter and put a belt around it and dyed it, well, not in that order, and dyed it flamingo pink. And yes, the rest is history. How much did it take you to find your own style? From Rochi on TikTok. I think before the game, I was really just glam with big hair. And the game was what gave me that more defined kind of boss bitch look. Although I don't think Kitty's very bitchy, but she does have that sort of boss bitch look with the pink streak and the uniform. And I think it was making the game that really focused that, because I really wanted to create a sort of brand. Well, that's about it for this Q&A, kittens. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget you can find out all about Magic Notions games at magicnotion.com. And don't forget to go to Steam and wishlist Kitty Powers Matchmaker Makeover. I'll see you later, kittens. Ta-ra!